Okay. Well, it's a pleasure to be on your call tonight. My goodness, it was 20 years ago that I heard about Relive. And what touched my heart was I heard you could drink this product. I had been going to a chiropractor, taking 30 to 40 vitamins and minerals a day for sores in my mouth that the doctor or dentist couldn't seem to figure out. And I couldn't swallow most of those big horse pills. And so I was having to crush them up in the blender and throw something in it with them so I could gag them down. And I had done that for a couple of years, and when I heard you could drink this product, that's all I needed. And I had a couple of friends I didn't know were even on the product, and they were going to a meeting. I invited myself, asked my husband if that was okay to go, and he said yes. Well, I came home with product, and he got on it too. So both of us in 10 days' time noticed the difference in our energy. I'm a worker. I could work all day long, but I didn't dare sit down. And otherwise, I never saw the news because I would sit down and I'd be asleep. And my husband was sleeping every night after dinner. And all of a sudden, both of us were awake. He wasn't taking a nap, and I was awake. We'd see the news, and we thought, my goodness. The next thing we noticed was in 3 months' time, my back quit hurting. I've had back problems since I was a young girl. And all of a sudden, my back wasn't stiff anymore. I didn't have to roll around on the floor to stretch it out in the morning, and I clean houses. And so that was something that was very important. My husband was diabetic, type 2 diabetic, and he had neuropathy really bad. It took him about 6 months to get over that neuropathy, but he didn't get that back again. And so myself, I had a little bit of arthritis in my back. I would be on arthritis medicine today and blood pressure medicine. Later in life, my blood pressure started going up, and that was something kind of in the family. My mother had that, and I couldn't believe that I was getting it too. And, we came out with a new product and took care of that. I'm not on any kind of medicine except an eye drop, and actually a couple eye drops. And so it's been wonderful. And recently my husband passed away. He actually had bladder cancer, and we didn't know it. So the last few years, I've not been doing a lot with Relive, but we're back at it. I love this product. It's been awesome for us. And I have a sister that went through stage 3 breast cancer just taking these products, was told to have a mastectomy and chemo and radiation, never did any of it. And that's been at least 15 years ago. And she is well and fine. And she has a little daughter that's Down syndrome. And she didn't talk. When she got started on these products, she was probably about 5 or 6, and she never said a word. She would do her sign language. And after being on the product, it wasn't maybe a couple weeks at the most, she put a whole sentence together. She said, "Mom, it's going to rain today." And that's the first word she ever said. And it has been such a blessing. My mother had great results with this product, lived to be 97 years old, went home peacefully, and so it's been an awesome thing for us. We've had, you know what, I have a check every single month. This is something that's been such a blessing to us. We didn't realize we needed for retirement, and we love these products. I still say we, because I'm used to my husband being around here, but anyway, it has been an awesome thing for us, Bill, and we love what we do, and we've helped a lot of people, and it's been a blessing.
You're a busy lady. 7 kids, 23 grandkids, and a bunch of greats, as I recall.
Yes, 3 the month of June. We have 11 now, so
Donna, thank you for coming on and sharing here tonight.
You're welcome. My pleasure.
Okay. Well, let me just check in and see if Janine was able to make it in.
I am back.
Great.
Well, you were absolutely ready.
We'd love you to share.
Oh, I was listening to Debbie's story. I'm like, oh, yeah, we went through that too. My whole family got such great results. It started with me. I had excessive hair loss, a lot of hereditary issues that I thought I would just have to live with for the rest of my life. So my hair was falling out in clumps. My brain, it was hard for me to finish a sentence. My heart hurt, and we had heart issues on both sides of the family. And I really wanted to be alive for my kids, and I'm like, what is it going to be like? Oh, and I had a knee that hurt, walking up the stairs, walking. A couple times I hit a limp. I was in my mid-40s, and I'm like, what am I going to be like in 20 years? So long story short with me, my hair now grows fast, which is awesome. My brain works. As you can tell, I can finish an entire sentence all by myself. And I went through a wonderful detox, and on the other side of that, my brain just cleared, and it was really nice because I do homeschool, and it was just like, wow, I can think now. My heart pain just slid away, which was amazing. And my knee now, people find me running across parking lots instead of trying to somehow get by. But other people in my family also got great results. My husband, my son got great results with headaches and stomach aches that just disappeared. My daughter, though, she was sick at the time. She was sick actually all the time. And we got her on the products, and I didn't know what to do because they'd put her on antibiotics, and the next day she would be sick again. And it was so bad. She developed a very serious germ phobia. It was hard for her to, touch people. She didn't want to be around them, even those she loved. And she added, obsessive behaviors, too, that became part of her life. And I thought, oh, no, this is really not only starting to affect her, but it's starting to affect her as a person. So anyways, long story short, we got her on the product at the right amount for her little body. And I have to tell you, that winter, she not only got well, she stayed well. And those issues were able to slide away. She also had an auditory processing disorder. She could look at a word as easy as it or the, and she would come up with something totally different. And it just wasn't working. But now I have to tell you, she is 17 years old. She is awesome. She can think on her own. And she has an entire new lease on life, really because of Relive. And she loves going to conference with me. So this year she's going again, one more time, with conference with me because she really loves Relive and she really loves the business. We were talking last night about, maybe we could do it together. So she's thinking long term on that. But I also have to tell you, Bill, about my mother. She is 87 years old. About 3 years ago, she started developing some very serious dementia issues. Hard for her to remember what we said 1 to 3 minutes. And luckily that 24K came in, and oh my gosh, it really, really helped her. She also has Parkinson's, and I have to tell you, she may not be dancing in the streets, but with the Relive, her symptoms are so much better than they ever would be without it. She was also dealing with hepatitis C that she received from a blood transfusion many years ago, before they even would check those things, and she found out about it. And I have to tell you that I can't even tell you how long it's been, but her blood work has been coming out absolutely fine, and there is no signs of the hepatitis C at all. And all I can tell you is it has changed our family, it has changed our life, and thank you, God, and thank you, Relive, because what a difference it's made. And the business, I just love helping other people, so it's been awesome. So, that is my story.
Well, you can certainly hear the joy in your voice. Your daughter's story, you hit it lightly, really, as I've heard her story before, and it was very moving. That germ phobia caused her lots of problems.
Mm-hmm.
And,
yeah, I'd almost like to share something because I tell you, it was so serious that after she got well, she looked up at me one night at bed, and she looked at me because we never understood what was going on. And she looked up and she said, "Mommy, I thought I was going to die." And it was that serious that she literally thought that she would not make it. This is a 6-year-old.
This was age 6 or something like that.
Yeah, and what a change it made. She's not only alive, she is well mentally and physically.
Yeah. As I recall, she was washing her hands constantly. She wouldn't step on the bathroom floor. She had serious germ phobia and turned her life completely around.
Yeah, it's so much better, Yeah, and it really gave her a lease on life, the type of life that she can live. And without it, I don't even know where we would be, and I don't know where she would be either.
Sure.
So
Wow.
it's made such
Janine,
a difference.
thank you. So appreciate you sharing for us tonight. Okay, well, next we're going to head over to Nebraska again. I have with us Dave Vavra, and Dave, we'd love you to share some of what's happened for you guys.
Well, Bill, I kind of feel like the thorn amongst the roses with all these lovely ladies having shared their wonderful stories, and it's just a treat and a pleasure for me to be on here with you tonight. You know, when I was introduced to Relive back in 2000, it's hard to believe it's been 16 years ago. I had been involved with another nutritional company for close to 18 years, and I thought I knew everything about nutrition, or knew a lot about nutrition, and was taking what I considered probably the very best products on the market. The company was quite reputable. They controlled their entire process from beginning to end, from planting it to harvesting it to manufacture to everything. So I thought there's just no better. And in all the years I was with that other company, while I didn't work that business very well, I took the product faithfully and never really saw much for results. 10 years before I was introduced to Relive, my blood pressure started going up, and the doctors every couple of years would double my medication. Then I started having chest pains, and they would do a stress test, nuclear stress tests, every couple of years, and still wouldn't see any results. And about that same time, my wife started dealing with menopause issues, in which I won't say that she had hot flashes, but she had moments of cool. We literally would be sitting in the family room, watching television in the wintertime. I would have on a sweater and be sitting under a blanket. She'd be wearing a T-shirt and shorts with an oscillating fan blowing on her. She didn't need a coat in the wintertime. Because it was that bad for her. She was also starting to develop a problem with audioneuropathy, not an audioneuropathy, but an audioneuroma tumor that was wrapping around the audio nerve in her right ear, and it was causing her to lose the feeling in the side of her face and also her hearing. When it was finally diagnosed, we went several years before it was finally diagnosed. Has less than 20% of her hearing left, and we would just, to take that tumor out, we'll just go through the eardrum, destroy the eardrum, but then she doesn't have much hearing left anyway, so you're not losing much. Well, we didn't think that was a very good idea, but he says there's no hurry, but in 5 years you're going to have to do something. She was also dealing with rheumatoid arthritis so bad she couldn't drive her car for more than 15, 20 minutes. Doctors had her on 800 milligrams of Tylenol, then 800 milligrams of ibuprofen 4 hours later, and kept rotating that, and I kept saying, look, you're killing your liver and your kidneys. Go get some regular drugs to handle that. She says, I've been there. The doctors have told me that it'll help the joint pain, but it actually accelerate the joint degeneration. They're telling me right now, and this was at age 49, 55, you're probably going to lose the use of your hands. And as the secretary and clerk for the lunch program at school, that was not going to work very good. And by the time she was 60, she's probably going to be in a wheelchair. Myself, I thought, okay, blood pressure's going up. The chest pains, well, I'll just kind of deal with them. I was dealing with sleep apnea because my allergies were so bad. I grew up on the farm in Nebraska, and I had to give that up because there's no way I could breathe through my nose. And I'd done allergy shots, I'd done Claritin D, steroid nasal sprays, and none of it seemed to really help. Finally, when I got on the CPAP machine, I was only able to use the machine if I had used a cheap nasal spray to open up my sinuses. In that year of 2000, I ended up, met a gal at the state fair, and she was telling me about these wonderful products, and I said, yeah, right, been there, done that. I was very skeptical. Didn't believe that powder in a can. In fact, I was almost mad. I was upset that she was talking about health benefits because I was with a good company, and we never talked about health benefits. So I listened, and I thought, well, it'd be interesting. It'd be nice if it worked, but Probably not. I ended up a month later with those chest pains in the hospital. They gave me double shots of nitroglycerin, digitalis, morphine. While they were waiting for the drugs to kick in, they did MRIs, CAT scans, ultrasounds. Ultimately, they did a heart catheterization. They could not find anything wrong with my heart, my digestive tract, my lungs. They just says, we don't know what it is, go home. And when you would have a pain in your chest that was a constant 3 and it sometimes shoot up to an 8, it would scare you. And there's several times that my wife was ready to dial 911 because it was that bad. So we tried arthritic medication and caused me more problems. And what the young gal did was she didn't give up on me. She kept hooking me up on calls like this. And I kept thinking, you know what? These people are all paid shills. They're all distributors, and they're going to say everything good. You know, and so I listened, but I kept thinking, well, what if? And it turned out that I heard enough calls that I decided let's give these products a try. And in a couple of weeks' time, my chest pains pretty well disappeared. And that's been 16 years ago, Bill, and they are, for the most part, they have never come back. And I've never a concern. A month and a half, my sinuses opened up that I no longer needed a nasal spray to wear the CPAP mask. While I'm still on the CPAP machine, there's times I don't need it. And before, even when I was on it, had no energy. I was come home from work, and I'd sit down in the chair, and I'd be asleep in 10 minutes. And so now we got energy. We're working through the night. My wife saw great results with the rheumatoid arthritis. In a month's time, she noticed that she was no longer having to exercise her knees to go down the steps. The menopause hot flashes were gone away. In 3 months' time, we noticed that all of her pain had subsided so much, she had just naturally quit taking all those over-the-counter medications. Unbeknownst to me, she had also been on prescription medications for both her menopause and her arthritis for over 3 months. Didn't see any results with that, but here in 3 months' time on the product, she was seeing great results. With that, I couldn't deny the fact anymore. We decided to become master affiliates, got to that top profit level. I didn't want to be known as the power boy of Doniphan, Nebraska. So I kind of kept it a secret, but I shared it with a neighbor that got great results with migraines, depression, fibromyalgia, and just kind of kept spreading. A year in the business, we came home from a conference in Reno, Nevada, and put together a $31,000 month. We placed third in the nation. We netted out over $7,300. And that wasn't because I was doing anything special except hooking people up to the power of these stories. As time went along, at that conference that we went to, my wife noticed that she was hearing different, but she also noticed that she had feeling back in one of her feet where she had had surgery before and for 10 years had no feeling on the outside part of her foot. And now at that time she had feeling back. So we were excited, and so we continue to share. Fast forward, she just had a MRI done on her ear, and there is no sign of any tumor anymore. In fact, instead of destroying that ear, we're able to correct her hearing and she has both her ears. She's able to drive for miles now, which gets her to more shopping areas, which is not so good for me. But and the hot flashes are no longer an issue. One other side note. We started on the Lunison, and I want to share this story. This is going to sound like a negative, but about 2-3 weeks ago, I really need to take this Lunison. I'm not seeing much results. 2 days ago, she said, "You need more Lunison. My hips are hurting, my hands are hurting, my neck is hurting, I can't sleep at night, and the only thing that I changed is I quit taking the Lunison." So even though some of us that have been on products for years, we take it for granted what these products do for us. And, I haven't added any medications, and I continue to be active and out to my grandsons on some of the things. So Bill will always be using these products and be in the business.
That's great. Thanks, Dave. Wow. What a wonderful variety, and oh my. Thank you so much for sharing.
You're welcome.
Okay, well, I have one more guest for you. So Janet Lizotte, are you there? I didn't hear her check in, so I'm just
I am here. Can you hear me, Bill?
Yes,
Great.
let me introduce you properly.
Okay.
So everyone, this is Janet Lizotte, and Janet is a presidential silver ambassador with Reliv. It's a big title, but she's had some good results in her family, but she's reached out and made a difference in a lot of people's lives. And what a joy she is. Janet, it's a pleasure for us to have you with us tonight. We'd love you to share.
Great. Thank you so much. Hi, everyone. I want to talk about my Reliv journey, which started 24 years ago in June of 1992. I was a very busy hairdresser, and one of my clients introduced me to Reliv. At the time, I was suffering from seasonal allergies and chronic sinus infections, and I have 3 daughters, and 2 of them suffered with asthma, and the baby was 15 months old, and she had chronic ear infection. So that's about what was going on in my household. And when I watched my client get life-changing results from her ulcerative colitis, where she was scheduled to have a colostomy done, and she was only in her early 30s, and she did not have to have that colostomy. Her ulcerative colitis, which had reversed itself and was a thing of the past after taking Reliv for about 6 months. And it really opened my eyes. As her hairdresser, her hair wouldn't hold a color, it wouldn't hold a perm, and it's just amazing how, everything that you eat and take in really affects your hair, your skin, your nails, and everything about your body internally and also externally. So I was a believer in these products just watching my friend Debbie get her results. So I was so excited to start on the product. And lo and behold, it took us about 3 months for all of us to get results. But along the way, 2 weeks after taking the product, I had clients of mine that I did in the evening look at me and just stop me while I was doing their hair, and they just said, "What are you on? You look like you could do 10 more clients." And typically when I come in at this time, you're burnt out and you're so happy to be doing your last client. And I just laughed, and this went on and on for, a few weeks, where people were noticing a difference in the way I looked and in the way that I was performing. So I knew that something was happening. And again, this was only a couple weeks after taking the products. 3 months after taking the product was the fall season, and I live in Massachusetts. So in the fall, the ragweed comes out, and that used to really, really get me. And but that fall, I went right through the whole entire season without even a sniffle. Not one allergy pill, shot, or over-the-counter drug or prescription drug has been put in my body since the day that I started taking Reliv. And I just couldn't ask for anything more. I mean, it's really been a blessing in my life. My girls, they were able to put their inhalers and nebulizers down and never pick them up again. And 2 of my daughters, as I said, had the asthma. One was exercise-induced asthma, so she was one of those little girls that played sports, and I always had to give the coach an inhaler for her. And again, that was a thing of the past after she got on Reliv. And my oldest daughter, it wasn't exercise-induced. It was more of a hereditary thing, but she had a heart condition called WPW syndrome, and because of that, she could not take any steroid medication for her asthma. And every time she had an asthma attack, she would have to end up in the hospital for a few days. And so you can imagine how happy we were that we never had to go back into the hospital with Brooke, because she never had any more asthma attacks. And my little one was 15 months old at the time. She's now 25. And I used to put a pinch of our product in her little sippy cup, and her pediatrician was waiting until she reached 18 months old to put tubes in her ears. And guess what? she never had to have those tubes, and she never had another ear infection. Over the last 24 years, if you just keep on fast forwarding, I have had so many wonderful results. I'm 61 years old now today, and I have gone through menopause, and I sailed right through it, but watched a lot of my friends suffer with those hot flashes and night sweats and hormone changes and all of that. And I was just really blessed to have been on Relive for a while and take the necessary products to get me through those menopausal years, and even postmenopausal. I am always told that I don't look my age, and I don't take any medication, and honestly, I don't know very many 61-year-olds that aren't on at least one medication for something. Relive has also helped my family. My dad's cholesterol came down 100 points. My mom was able to come off of her blood pressure medication. My brother got results with acid reflux. My sister got great results with her pregnancy. Just so many blessings. And yes, I did jump into the business as well. When you have a product that changes people's lives like that, number one, that you're never going to go off the product. So I wanted to purchase it at the lowest price that I could purchase it. But I also knew that I would get much pleasure introducing it to people and watching their results. And that's exactly what I did. I started off, really spare time because I was a busy hairdresser owning my own salon, working about 65 hours a week. But, I passed a lot of people, or a lot of people passed through my path between the salon and church and, sports with my kids and all kinds of things. There was always someone for me. If I just listened closely, there was always someone for me to share Relive with. And this helped build my business over a period of a few years. After a few years of just sharing the product, I did come right in at the top profit level, the top discount level, called Master Affiliate, because I saw the value in doing that. And I figured that even if I never sold a can, my family would eat all of this product ourselves, and I bought it at the cheapest price. So that made sense to me. But what happened was, in sharing these products, I ended up moving that Master Affiliate order in just a few months, and having to, order more product, but I was ordering it at 40% off, which was great. My checks started to come in the mail, and at first they were, small checks. They were $500-600 checks consistently, and then they'd climb to $800 checks consistently, because the people that I put on the product were getting results, and they were telling their loved ones, and everybody's centers of influence were starting to get on the product like a snowball rolling down a hill that you just can't stop, but in a good way. And about a year and a half later, my Relive income matched what I was making in my hair salon as a salon owner, working 65 hours a week. So I made a really big decision, and that was to sell my salon and just do Relive full time. And I am so happy that I did that. Christy, my youngest, was 10 years old when I made that decision. So that was, from the time she was 15 months old when we got started in Relive, and then to the time that I decided to do Relive full time, she was 10 years old. But I got to be really like a stay-at-home mom, doing Relive around my children and their busy schedules, and yet earning an incredible income. Very shortly after I started doing Relive full-time, my check reached $4,000 a month, 2 months in a row, and that made an invitation to become a Relive ambassador, which just means that you're helping a lot of people, basically. And then I helped 2 other people become Relive ambassadors, and they were earning that type of income. And eventually my income reached all the way up to a 6-figure income, and I don't think that ever would have happened in my salon, because in order to make that much money as a sole proprietorship in a salon, I would have had to have worked, oh my gosh, I can't even imagine how many hours or how many heads I would have had to have cut to make that kind of an income. And today I do hair as a hobby. I have a great reach out type program where I do a lot of the elderly. I go to their homes if they're homebound, and I do their hair, and I throw that out to a few different communities and churches. And I love doing hair, as a blessing or a service to others, and so I can still keep my hands in it. But my Relive income is what has carried me through. I'm a single mom, and my children are now 37, 33, almost 34, and 25. And all three girls are married, and they had beautiful fairy tale weddings because of Relive, and they've all been through college and grad school. And they are starting now to have families of their own, and I have 4 grandchildren, and they're all on the Relive Children's product, and it's just a real blessing to see that, see how my life has unfolded, and not a lot of what's happened in my life would have happened if it weren't for Relive. I was able to stay home, and today I'm able to fly around the country, really, because 2 of my 3 daughters live in California, and so all 4 of my grandchildren are in California, and I can jump on a plane whenever I want to, and I do, sometimes on a moment's notice, and I can go out there and see my grandchildren, help my daughters, and it's all because of Relive. And I will never, ever, ever, ever stop sharing this and doing this business. I love what I do.
Wow. It is a wonderful testimony, Janet. We thank you so much for being on the call.
Well, thank you for asking me, Bill.
Yeah, well, you've touched a lot of lives. We'll never know all the people's lives that are affected. As we share with someone who turns around and shares with someone, it begins that long chain of lives that are impacted. And obviously, when you have a check that is as large as your income has hit, excuse me. Wow, excuse me. A lot of lives are affected, and what a blessing to be a part of that. So,
Absolutely.
Janet, thank you so much for being on the call. We're going to wrap things up there for tonight. Thank you,
You're
everyone.
welcome.
Thanks. Okay. Well, I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording.